Hello everyone, and welcome to Character Gallery. I'm Master of the Lemons, aka Lemmy.
And I'm here, the Japanese Train, aka Matt.
And today we're going to be talking about...
No, hold on.
What?
I don't know if I should be doing Character Gallery today, Lemmy.
Oh. Why not?
Well, we're cleaning up around here. I've got a ton of trash. There's trash just piling up everywhere. I mean, it's in the hallways. It's in the kitchen.
Oh my God!
It's in my bed.
Really?
I threw out my Thomas collection to make room for trash.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm so sorry. I
need a little help with my trash situation.
Well, Matt. There's a solution to that.
What?
You know what you could do with all that trash?
What could I do with it?
You could scrunch it. That's what you could do with it. And I know who could help you.
What? Yeah. What's a scrunch?
You're not familiar with the practice of scrunching?
No. Who would get scrunching once in their life?
Scruff the scruncher, that's who. Yeah, see? I can't believe you didn't see that coming. I mean, I really surprised you there.
Well, I will celebrate my trash piling up and eventually consuming me with a character gallery on the trashiest engine of them all.
Yes, the trashiest. The absolute just dumpster fire of an engine that we all know and love. Scruff the Scruncher.
Scruff the Scruncher. This is an interesting episode because I think this is the first episode ever where we've done a nitrogen-introduced character. Or like a CGI series introduced character.
It really doesn't feel right that that's the case, but yeah, I think you're right. There was the slip coaches.
We have the slip coaches.
And that was about it. We really haven't done many CGI ones, have we?
No.
And it doesn't feel that
not
way.
Nitrogen era, certainly.
The thing is, we take everything. We've taken all these characters and just kind of collapsed them into kind of the singularity that is the character gallery kind of promo style. So it's not like it's obvious when you look at the episodes who's from what era. Like, they all are just kind of from this, like, highly stylized promo style. So that's kind of how I remember things, is like, did I make a promo for them or not? So looking back, like, I mean, you compare like the 812 to like Oliver to like the slip coaches. They all kind of feel they occupy the same space in my mind.
Well, even like Class 40, 16, like all of those episodes, Evening Star, like they have the same Ghislaine sort of early Thomas promo.
And that was very much the goal, because you remember what the merchandising, what the kind of the style of the brand was like when we were younger. They just took all the characters and kind of put them all in the same world. That's kind of that's what Ertl did. That's what Wooden Railway did. They all got the same treatment, and we kind of do the same thing. But the result of that is, it doesn't feel to me like we haven't done any CGI characters yet. But basically, we haven't, and Scruff is kind of the first, so he should be very, very, very proud of himself.
Yes, he should, and I definitely didn't expect we were going to do Scruff this early, but I'm stoked. So
you say that like he's something to just build up to, like he's like the absolute like grand finale.
He's like the opposite. He's one of those characters I feel like we would have gotten to like after the big finale, where it was like
I'm kind of shocked that Scruff has so few stories. Like, we just watched practically both of his stories. We watched Thomas and Scruff, and we watched Scruff's makeover, and it's like that's basically it. That's like all he got. I mean, he had like moments throughout the show that obviously we take to pieces and say are a really big deal. But when you really stand back and look at it, Scruff didn't get a lot of screen time. But I think that the screen time he did get, like, he really left an impression. To me, he's just such an interesting character. He's got such unique...
He seems to love trash even more than Whiff.
Wow, we're diving right into it, aren't we?
Whiff likes Whiff is much more social than Scruff. I think Scruff would just be content rolling around in mud all day. Like that's kind of the vibe I get off of Scruff.
Honestly, yeah. Whereas Whiff is like, I think Whiff is more mature in a lot of ways, and also just Whiff is about service. I feel like he really wants to serve his community. He's kind of, you know, a lot of engines look down at him and laugh at him, and he doesn't like he doesn't act on that. He doesn't fight back. He doesn't, if you've got some vain engine that comes along, if you've got like James and he scoffs at him and says, I would never get anywhere near garbage trucks like you do, then Whiff is just like, oh, well, it's a good thing I'm here to handle them then. Like that's how he responds to situations like that. He doesn't say like, well, you're one to talk, James, like.
Yeah, he'll never talk back. And Scruff, he doesn't care about all those niceties. He doesn't really, like, I think he could still get his feelings hurt by people, but he just doesn't care.
Right.
Like, if the engines are looking down on him for being the garbage engine, he's like, oh, whatever, I love trash.
Yeah, exactly,
I just want to scrunch. That's all I've ever wanted to do. My daddy scrunched before me, his father before him.
I come from a long line of scrunchers, Whiff. I gotta scrunch, it's in my blood.
And he will never explain what a scrunch is.
No, he won't. Like, this is what I find so just ridiculous about Scruff. Like, his whole, like, life is based around this, like, verb that nobody understands. Like, I feel like Thomas, because Thomas is the one who, like, introduces Scruff and Whiff. I feel like a few months after Scruff comes to the dump, Scruff would be out on some errand, right? And Whiff is there alone. And then Thomas comes to the dump and he's just like, so, how's the new guy working out? And Whiff is just like, well, he's absolutely great, Thomas. I mean, he's done a really, really good job. But, what is it, Whiff? Well, he keeps mentioning this scrunching thing, and I don't really know what he's talking about. Yeah, he talked about that a lot around me as well. Like, something about, like, he wants this, like, scrunch stuff? He's like a scruncher? Like, what's a scruncher? I don't know. I'm kind of afraid to ask him. I don't really know how he's gonna respond. What are you guys talking about? Oh, no, nothing, Scruff. Hey, Scruff, what is scrunching? What? Scrunching. What is scrunching? What the hell do you mean, what's scrunching? Am I going to explain scrunching to you?
We all scrunch. You get some trash, you scrunch it, and then it's done.
Okay, yeah. But, like, what is it, though? Like, I don't remember scrunching once in my life.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to explain this to you. Trash.
It's okay, Scruff. You don't have to. Sorry we brought it up. Let's just get back to work, huh?
Well, and he even calls his buffer beam a scruncher, so, like...
I know! He's a scruncher, and his buffer beam is also a scruncher. What?
Like in Oh the Indignity, Victor's, like, official diagnosis of Scruff's
like,
issue is a scrunched scruncher.
Yeah, it's like, you have a scrunched scruncher, my friend. I've seen this before. Like, I love how legitimately everyone takes it. Like, it's like just a thing. The narrator is like, Scruff's scruncher was indeed scrunched. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? What is wrong with him exactly? It looks to me like he ran into something and his buffer beam's busted. But no, instead it's his Can we talk about the fact that my scruncher is scrunched is a synonym for bust my buffers? Like,
scrunch my scruncher!
Oh my god. But, like, this is kind of a weird idea. Scruff is called the Scruncher, right? And he's like a really weirdly shaped engine. I know there are engines like him, like that he's like a Sentinel. And so, like, he's one of those... Isn't he, like, chain-driven? Isn't that how it works?
Oh, I don't know.
I think he is. But
I think so.
He has some weird method of propulsion, regardless. He's almost like the modern version of a coffee pot. But Scruff is weird, okay?
He's got a lot in common with, like, Raoul and Logan.
Right, yeah. And so, especially, like, those two have a lot in common with each other.
Yeah, I mean, they're all cousins. Maybe they know what a scruncher is.
Maybe. That's that's very possible, but I don't know if we want to know what the answer really is. But here's the thing, like, when I think scruncher, like I think like garbage compactor. The dump has a scruncher. Like, it's the thing they dump all the garbage into, and then it scrunches it into like a compact cube. Like, that's a scruncher. And I almost wonder, is it possible that Scruff's weird design is because, like, he's built out of old parts from, like, a garbage compactor somewhere?
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't it be? Like, he started out as, like, a garbage compactor on the mainland somewhere? Like, you know, I don't know, some random, like, some random scrapyard in Liverpool or something, and he just, like, you know, scrunches garbage all day, and, you know... And he'd still look somewhat recognizable, like he'd be this. He'd
have the same structure. Like green and everything.
Exactly, yeah, like that, like the kind of big bold hazard stripes are like along the sides, and he's just like got this like, you know, like that would be kind of neat, you know, and then like he broke down at some point, or more than that. That dump got so big that they like bought a new garbage compactor that was bigger and stronger. I'm imagining just this like. This dark gray kind of steel, you know, just contraption that's like 3 times bigger than him, you know. And this machine would also have a face, and Scruff is just sitting there, this kind of worn out little garbage compactor, and he's just kind of like, what's gonna happen to me now that she's part of the picture? And this big huge new modern compactor's just like, well, I assume that you'll become like the very thing that you crush, garbage, you know. And Scruff is just like, oh, jeez, I'm really scrunched now. Yeah, I know. And so Scruff thinks he's truly and utterly scrunched at this point, right? But,
well, scrunch you, big compactor. Go scrunch yourself.
Oh, such manners. This is a garbage dump, a place of etiquette. Like, she doesn't fully recognize where she is yet, I think. But, you know, so Scruff is in danger of being scrunched himself. But then, the thing is, the garbage men all so appreciate his hard work, and the fact that he's just like, he's been a vital part of this company for years. They decide, you know what, we're gonna get out our tools, and get the crane, and get some wheels, and we're gonna find a new use for you, my friend. And Scruff's like, what do you mean by that exactly? We're gonna make you a railway engine. What? Like, he's like, just kind of like, oh my god, that's crazy, yeah, it'll never work. But they make it work, right? And he looks really weird and crazy, but like it actually works. Like, they hoist him up onto a flatbed and then like gear up all this crazy stuff in the chassis, and like they give him like and maybe he's like, he is a steam driven compactor. So like everything.
Well, what's crazy is they could also like take spare parts from that have been like thrown out and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I imagine Scruff is literally built out of garbage. Like,
he is I'm one with the trash.
Yeah, I'm the trash and the trash is me.
I eat trash.
I eat trash. That is true. That's what garbage compactors do. They eat trash. Scruff ate trash for like the first 20 years of his life. That was his whole life. I mean, he eats trash in the way that Thomas eats coal. Like, he's not like, oh, nom, 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 nom. That was good. Like, instead, he's just like, that's good trash.
Yeah.
But, you know, so they rebuild him, and then he runs this whole yard, right? Which maybe they didn't even have a rail connection at first. You know, I don't know, like, when exactly the Sentinels became popular. I feel like the 30s.
They're like the 40s.
Yeah,
like,
40s.
Yeah.
So, like, but also, like, Scruff looks so different in the show from his basis. He looks close enough that, like, I can definitely see it working. Like, if you were to do, like, a Railway Series Scruff, then, you know, it would still look like Scruff if you were to just straight up make him a Sentinel. But he's also different enough that I feel like you could argue that he's just, like, a garbage compactor that was turned into an engine.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that idea a lot. You know, so imagine that's what happens with him. And he runs
I also feel like Scrunch. No. I also feel like Scruff struggles a lot with being an engine sometimes. Like, just throughout his episodes, there are just times where he just totally drops the ball on, like,
honestly, yeah,
engine social norms or whatever. Or he just, like, I don't know. He doesn't quite get it.
Honestly, yeah, he's not really like used to this kind of social life, because he was just, in the corner of like a garbage dump for 20 years, interacting with a very small selection of very kind of, salt of the earth people that like, didn't really have many niceties to them. And so like Scruff, I mean, we look at his behavior in the few episodes we have on him. Like Thomas comes to him and he's like, I know what you need. You need a brush and some water and soap, and we're gonna clean you up. And then Scruff is just like, bye, Thomas, and he just leaves. Like
he's frightened of a brush. Like
I know.
And I imagine that as a trash compactor in, let's say, Liverpool or whatever.
Yeah.
Who would ever think to clean it,
Yeah, no,
Who would
exactly.
ever think, and whereas for a railway engine, being cleaned, getting a new coat of paint, all that stuff, that's like the creme de la creme. That's like caviar on a silver platter. That's like the best thing that can happen to an engine.
And that makes a lot of sense if he's not a railway engine. Like, that's the reason. And it's like, I think that Scruff just... Like, he's the only one, isn't he? Can you think of a single character in the history of Thomas that's ever turned down a washdown besides him?
Even Whiff, I think, would get washdowns semi-regularly.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least have his glasses cleaned so he can see.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, we have characters that don't care. Like, Whiff's okay with being dirty. Donald and Douglas are okay with being grimy. There's a lot of characters that, like, are willing to get dirty, and they're not in a hurry to get a wash down. But it would be nice, They may not prioritize it, but it'd be nice. Scruff is scared. He's really, really scared of it. Like,
well, here's my theory. It might just be the scariest brush in the British Isles.
Oh.
Like, in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, when Diesel 10 breaks down the scaffolding and he tries to intimidate the engines, he's not scared of the sugar. He's looking just past Mr. Conductor's shoulder, and that brush is in the corner.
Ah, yes. Leaning up against the wall. It's the brush that no yard foreman would ever dare sweep the sheds with. So Tidmouth Sheds just has the dustiest floor of all sheds on the island. That brush is sitting there. Diesel 10's like, all right, you punk. I'm going to take you in all the steamers. Ah! Oh my God! That's right, it's sugar, Diesel. No, not that! It's the brush. It's the scariest brush I've ever seen. Look at that thing. God, that's a scary brush.
Look at all the bristles on that one.
God, it's more bristles than I can count. I mean, sure, I can't count any higher than 9, but still, it's the most bristles I've ever seen on a brush. Make the most of tonight, Twinkle Toes.
That's why when he kidnaps Mr. Conductor again, he's like, I see you forgot the brush. I mean sugar.
I always wondered why that line was like that. Okay, thank you.
But anyway, Scruff literally runs away when he's confronted by a brush and soap.
Yeah, literally. And it's like, I think the thing that gets me, I get he's never seen it before and that he's never been washed. I get all that. But I think the more remarkable thing is that he doesn't explain himself at all. He doesn't tell Thomas, like, I've never been washed before, Thomas. I don't know what to do. I'm scared of, it's he doesn't say any of that. Instead, he's just bye, Thomas, and he just leaves.
He has a similar new engine complex that Hector did about being filled with coal.
Yeah, he kind of does. Where he doesn't really know how to vocalize it. He doesn't know how to talk about his feelings. He's never really been in a position where he had to before. And so it's like, it's interesting. I mean, that's, I think, even when we get a few years on to Scruff's makeover, now he's been on the island a few years, and he still is, he's become more vocal, he speaks more, he's just in general, I think, better understood, but he's still figuring himself out, right? Like, it shakes his whole world being cleaned. Like, he goes to the dump, he goes back to the dump, and he's just like, I don't know if maybe I gotta stay clean and find another job. And he just leaves, And
isn't that what clean engines do? They pull coaches or something.
Yeah, and Whip's just like, well, no, Scruff. He's gone. Okay. All right, I guess I'm alone again, like I have been for the last 30 years.
Gets buried in trash.
Oh my God. Yeah. But, it's interesting because Scruff himself seems to be very confused. while he's saying that stuff. While he's like, maybe I should find another job. Like, he's not really clear on what his role is and what this says about him. Like, he's on a really big process of self-discovery on Sodor. Like, in all of the times that we see him, he's kind of learning how to interact with other engines because he's probably never done it before. And he's just learning who he is.
Even when he arrives at the docks, he's just kind of alone. He's, like, not saying anything. I imagine Cranky's just awkwardly looking down at Scruff, like, trying not to make eye contact.
Well, are you going to say something, or are you just going to sit there? And Scruff's just like, Jesus Christ, another one of these guys, really? No, doesn't say anything. God, Neville was bad. You're worse.
I would love to be at Tidmouth Sheds the morning that it's announced that there's a new engine, and someone has to show this second garbage engine around. Like Emily just went through like a whole experience with Whiff, like freaked out of her mind. I imagine the engines are all gathered together, and Emily's like, "Oh no, you got this one. Another garbage engine, not me." And Thomas is like, well, you know what? Fine. I will show Scruff around on the condition that he get cleaned.
Yeah. That immediately tells us what engines were at the shed that morning. It was like Thomas, Emily, James, and Gordon, and no one else. It was like, if Edward had been there, he'd be like, I'd be happy to. But he wasn't. He was like broken down in Suttery or something. So it didn't work. But honestly, though, I honestly think, like, Emily at first just hates like working with Whiff, but she does gain a respect for him. Wouldn't it be kind of sweet if they actually do form a friendship? Like, they actually do have mutual respect, and Emily, while not liking garbage in the slightest and wanting to stay away from it, she does actually visit Whiff at the dump sometimes. Like, she does actually defend him to the big engines. Like, you notice, like, it would be so easy to, like when Scruff, in Scruff's makeover, where Gordon, Henry, and James are all together, and they're just like, oh, you look absolutely abysmal. They all say that in that voice, exactly. Right. Like, it would be so easy to put Emily in the same camp and have her react like, oh my goodness, you look absolutely disastrous, Scruff. But I could see her having respect for him. I could see her having respect for Whiff, just because of the way that, what is it? Emily in the Garbage? Is that the name of the episode? Yep. Just the way that it caps off, I could see Emily actually having some respect for the garbage engines.
And there are instances where, like, even in Whiff's wish, like, we're getting real into the nitrogen era now, where, like, Whiff is asking Emily if he could take some for trucks, and she's like, oh yeah, sure, of course, like, thanks,
Yeah, and that's sweet, because I almost think this is kind of where Emily's kind of older sister side comes out. Like, she finally respects Whiff enough that the two of them are like equals. And it's cool too, because Emily and Whiff are both really, really old when you think about it.
And they're the same color. Like, it's just they have the same
similar. They have the same kind of ornate appearance. What railway built Aerolite? The engine that is
the Great East, the GER, I think,
something like that. But they're both Eastern, and I feel like they both would relate on more than they realize. It's just that they have different jobs. But honestly, I think that they would kind of have a bond, after... The thing is, Whiff...
Aerolite is the Northeastern Railway.
Okay, that works.
So they're actually GNR, NER.
they're both, they're both equally related to the LNER when you think about it. Like the railway that exists for most of their lives is a combination of the two railways that they had come from. So they would, just by that, they would have some stuff in common. But I think that, Whiff, and Emily would have some mutual respect. I mean, obviously, Whiff respects everybody, so that's not a big thing to say. But I think Emily would learn to respect Whiff. And I think that, they would just relate on a lot of levels. Now, Whiff also, and I think this is a garbage engine thing, Whiff is also not very good socially. Except, instead of just running away from people when he doesn't know what to say about something, it's just that he's just a little bit too clingy. He's like, oh my god, I've spent my whole life in a single garbage dump. I've never seen an engine before, and now all of a sudden there's all these engines, and he clings on to Emily because she's the first one that he meets.
It's the opposite of Scruff. He's chasing her down, and
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, and so, he's really awkward at first and he oversteps boundaries, but once he kind of starts to understand how to act around other engines, I think that actually they would form a friendship. And so now imagine that Whiff and Emily are friends by this point, and then Scruff comes along and he's almost kind of like a little brother figure. Like, I think that'd be kind of cute, like, Emily's like, oh, so there's a new engine, Oh, yeah, he's a lot younger than me, and younger than you, but, I mean, he's a fine worker, and I think he would make a good protege.
Let's get scrunchy!
And Emily's just like, what is scrunching? Don't bring it up, that's a soft spot. Right, hello, Scruff. Where are you from exactly? You're a very strange type of engine.
I was a scruncher at the dump.
A scruncher, as in... Oh my, a trash compactor? Is that what you were?
What? You understand me? No one's ever understood that before.
Oh, there. I do have a way with engines, don't I? Whiff is just like, his glasses are welling up, just like, that's beautiful. I haven't been able to speak his language, and I've known him for over 2 months. I just don't have the code. I just don't have a thesaurus. I can't. I don't know what the synonyms for scruncher are. It's not my fault. but imagine that. Emily just kind of knows how to speak to Scruff. And maybe she even, like, takes, him under her wing a little bit. Because, like, Scruff doesn't really... you could almost do an extended cut of Scruff's makeover, where as he's going around the island trying to find a new job for himself that isn't the dump, maybe he goes and talks to Emily, and she does actually teach him a bit about pulling coaches and stuff. Like, I mean...
That would be sweet.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Like, she'd be like, maybe I should teach you how to pull carriages. After all, every engine should know how, even if they don't do it often. Wait, so you'll let me pull yours? No, absolutely not. No. Oh. Well, not...
You'll take Gordon's coaches.
Like, Gordon has just come back from the express, and he's simmering in the siding, and Scruff's like, but I already asked him. Yes, well, now you're asking me, and I say yes. And Scruff, like, accidentally, like, runs the coaches through, like, the back of the sheds or something. And he's like, oh, jeez, I'm no good.
Quick, Scruff, let's get out of here as fast as we can. If anyone asks, it was James.
All right, got it. Like, imagine that. Gordon comes back, and his brake coach is just on its side. And Gordon's just like, what happened here? James! Nobody's told him by this point that it was James. He just assumes. But I think it would be pretty great to see, Emily kind of take Scruff under her wing. And then, of course, at the end of that arc, Scruff would kind of just vent his feelings to her and just be like, well, the truth is, I don't know, I want to honor the coat of paint that I've got, I mean, I'm a clean engine now. I gotta act a certain way. And Emily's just like, oh, Scruff, it's not your paint that makes you who you are. It's the size of your wheels. That's what makes a difference. And your wheels are very, very small. So it makes sense to go back to the dump. And Scruff is just like, I guess that makes sense. Neither of them has, like, a sound reasoning for why they believe
wait. I got a big scruncher, though, so, what do we do here?
Well, there you go. I mean, that's absolutely an asset at a garbage dump. I mean, you've got to have a scruncher. Ideally 2 of them. One at either end.
Wow. So what you're saying is, I need to get scrunchy.
You absolutely need to get scrunching.
Will you come scrunch with me?
I will supervise your scrunching. I will not participate personally. No. So they go back to the dump, Like, that'd be nice if it was kind of like... I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if Scruff doesn't really like Whiff that much? Like, because he's kind of just married off to him, He shows up at the dump, and Thomas is like, okay, Scruff, you work for Whiff now, okay? Okay. And Scruff's like, wait, but, Like, honestly,
also, like,
what if...
Scruff just came from a life where he was being the trash compactor, and now he's the second in command of the railway engines on Sodor's dump.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, he's... And I imagine that probably means Whiff's dump is a lot bigger than his dump was. And it's just, in general, probably kind of shameful for him. I feel like almost... Wouldn't it be interesting if that's why he runs away? Because, again, we have no idea why. He doesn't vocalize any of it. He just says, "Bye, Thomas!" That's all we have to go off of.
That's literally everything.
And the thing is he running away because Thomas is trying to wash him, or is he running away because he's trying to control him? And it's like, I feel like the way Thomas phrases it, he's not like, okay, let's go work for Whiff now. Instead, he's like, okay, I know where there are some garbage trucks for you to shunt, like at Whiff's waste dump. Like, I have a role for you. Like, you can do things here. That's a very different phrasing from, you're going to go and you're going to work for this guy and he's going to, give you orders, right? And it's like, it'd be interesting if they don't, like, work that great together, at least at first. Where it's like, Scruff is used to doing things his own way, and he's got his own language. Like, he really just... Like, I imagine Scruff really being the type of guy where he says sentences that just don't make any sense. He's just like, just scrunch the truck on the scrunch thing, on that, over there.
And get this, there's a whole bunch of cranes, and there is a scruncher at Whiff's waste dump. And I think if you asked all of those machines, they would gravitate towards Scruff.
Yeah.
Over Whiff.
Yeah, that's true. That's
especially even just personality-wise, Whiff is not heavy-handed. He doesn't order things around. It sounds like in the day-to-day, it's messy at the dump. Like, Whiff...
Yeah.
At one point, Gordon has to help out. Like
yeah,
what?
Because Whiff can't lay down the law, is the thing. He's too soft.
Yeah, it's disorganized.
Yeah. So it's like, I imagine you have the crane, you have probably the trash compactor here even has its own face, You have, like, all the wagons and stuff. You have a lot of different machinery. Probably like a few cranes, and maybe even a couple compactors of different sizes, maybe some forklifts, just like a bunch of stuff going on here. And garbage trucks. Like, wouldn't it be great to have garbage trucks commuting out of the Whiff's waste dump? Like, going all over the island to different places, to Kildane, and to, like, Marin, and to, like, Tidmouth, and to, like, Peel Godred and stuff. Like, you have a whole fleet of garbage trucks, and they have their own shed here. Like, that would be great. And they'd all be, like, the same colors as Whiff. But, like, they all go all over the island. And so Whiff has to kind of take charge of this whole environment, but he's not that type of engine. He's very much... He's a lover, not a fighter. And so, he kind of just lets things go on as they will. And the thing is, a lot of these... vehicles don't want to be pushed around. Like, I'm sure the crane is just like, you think I'm really going to listen to you? Don't make me laugh. Come on, I've been doing this job for 20 years. I know how to do it. And then Whiff is just kind of like, well, I mean, I have been doing it for my entire life. And, and the crane's just like, like,
you've been shuttling trash around the way. You've not been actually lifting it. You've not been compacting it. What are you but a common messenger boy? And then Scruff comes in and stands up for Whiff.
Yeah, that would be good, right? And at first Scruff is like, Scruff and Whiff don't get along great because Scruff is just kind of like, maybe he almost doesn't like that Whiff is weak-willed, and the fact that Whiff doesn't really give him clear orders, and Scruff is just not liking his job there. But then once he realizes the problem is that Whiff just is afraid to stand up to everybody, and then Scruff really raises his voice, and he's like, all right, listen up, everyone! And they all stop. The cranes stop, the trucks stop, everything stops. And Scruff is like, look, chop, chop, time is money, and garbage is heating up in the sun, and we know that doesn't smell great. I mean, it does to me, but it doesn't smell great to most of us here. So we all gotta get working, and Whiff here is your leader. I mean, he's the one who's been put in charge. He's been working in garbage 30 years longer than most of you have even been built, okay? So listen to the guy. And Whiff is just blushing, like, wow, Scruff, you really believe in me. And Scruff's like, yeah, I do. You're good at what you do, Whiff. You just need somebody to shout for you now and then. And I can do that! and
Gordon's like, shut up!
From, like, the other side of the island. He's like, be quiet. I'm trying to sleep. But, yeah, I could totally see Scruff being kind of the loudspeaker for Whiff, where maybe he's happy to, like, and in that way, the two of them would really work together side by side, kind of they would bolster each other's weak spots. Because Whiff, like, Scruff is not great socially, whereas Whiff has learned how to be really good socially. He's really kind to people. He's got a heart of gold, and he's just good at, like, kind of soothing ruffled feathers. Like, he doesn't cause controversy or conflict. Anytime that Scruff kind of leaves somebody hanging, where he, like, you know, just doesn't say goodbye and leaves in the middle of a conversation, or where he, like, you know, where he just does something that's uncouth or rude, then Whiff can apologize to that person and be like, I'm sorry about Scruff. That's just kind of the way he is. He doesn't mean anything by it. And, you know, that sort of thing, right?
There's one other character who I also want to weave into this, and that is Reg.
Ooh.
Because I think that so let's say that Scruff comes, there's initially some tension, but Scruff eventually stands up for Whiff, for the whole cranes, in the whole waste dump. Right. So the waste dump machines respect Whiff and Scruff. But then it kind of just goes back to normal with Scruff shunting and not really going outside of the dump all the time. Whiff is always seen outside of the dump. But then, you know, because he's the one that has to go around, collect the trash that everyone leaves in the sidings and inexplicably during the nitrogen era on the main line.
Yeah.
So I imagine that Whiff starts to, just being the goodness of his heart, wants Scruff to leave the dump every now and then too and start doing those runs instead of him. So I think that's what takes him all around. That's what takes him to, like, meet Reg at the scrapyard. That's what, you know... So it sounds in Samson Sent for Scrap, it seems that Scruff and Reg have the same sort of respect for each other, and the fact that we made him originally a trash compactor makes a ton of sense, like all the sense in the world.
And honestly, the two of them both have that same kind of they have that same kind of social bluntness and social awkwardness to them. Think of, like, The Perfect Gift, where Percy's trying to, like, he's trying to you know, to give, like, Reg, like, a Christmas gift, and Reg is just like, I don't get the reason for this, Percy. It just seems like it's not, you know, I'm a trash crane. I like taking junk and putting it on the conveyor belt, and, you know, etc. Like, that's like his, you know,
and he has he has a very similar catchphrase. I mean, with Reg, it's crunch and munch.
Yeah, that's true. Scruff would just be like the first time Scruff goes to the dump, there'd be kind of an awkward silence between the two, because, like, they don't really know how to speak to each other. But then Scruff just starts it, like, the icebreaker is just like, let's get scrunching.
Crunch and munch!
Yes! Let's get scrunching! Like,
then Reg picks Scruff up and he's like, no.
And Reg is like, oh, sorry, and he puts him back down. Isn't that, like, honestly, I think it's that easy. If somebody's like, hey, scrap me, Reg is like, well, if you say so, and they just...
I mean, he almost killed the Fat Controller's car. I mean...
Yeah, he almost did, yeah. Which is a lot worse when you consider that I'm sure that the car would have a face if you apply the same rules. So it's like, you know...
And Samson was cheering them on, too.
Like, Reg, he works at a scrapyard, so he is kind of scary. But he's just... He's not malicious at all, is the interesting thing. So he's kind of like, I'm sure he came from, like, a scrapyard during, like, the heat of dieselization, and he's killed, like, hundreds of steam engines. He's like, well, it was just my job, you know. I don't want to do it now, of course, but I don't exactly feel anything when I do. It's like...
I was only following orders.
Oh, no. Yeah, pretty much. So he's kind of like... He's, like, more than happy to not kill trains, but, like, also if he's told to, and it's all, like, they're like, throw me in the trash compactor, he'll be like, well, all right. You know? Which is interesting. It's like a very, very different perspective than we're used to. But I could see Scruff and Reg getting on very, very well. Way better than Whiff and Scruff. Because Whiff is kind of a wet blanket compared to Scruff. Like, Scruff just... I imagine Whiff always wants to know where Scruff is and what he's doing. And in general, Whiff is just kind of like, you know, now, Scruff, make sure that you, that you have all your axles oiled before you go to bed. And make sure that you have the doors shut nice and tight. And Scruff is like, yeah, I get it. You know, Whiff, you don't have to give me a kiss on the cheek every night I go to bed. It's not, you know,
Well, and it seems like Whiff just operates at a much slower pace than Scruff wants.
He does, yeah.
Whiff is like bumbling around the island, picking up every single truck, that's left in a siding for him. And the engines, like, all these places, they're just leaving the truck out. Like, they don't really care. Like, it's their dumpster. So Whiff's just picking up the pieces, kind of tipping his hat and whatnot. But Scruff, like, I think he would really get a rise out of trying to go across the island as fast as he can.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, he would be like, yeah, you know what, leave your truck on the main line. Let's go for it. I bet you I can get the trash before the next train comes.
Like, yeah, like, I almost see Whiff like the kind of lone hunter that's just kind of taking a journey across, like, he's, like, trying to get to a faraway town long before automobiles are created, and so he's going over, he takes, like, a 2 or 3 day journey, and he walks very slowly to pace himself, and he sets up camp 2 or 3 times. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Whiff's garbage collection takes several days. Like, he, like, does everything from, like, say if the dump is at, like, Kildane, then he goes from, like, Kildane to Ballyhoo, and then he sets up camp there and sleeps, and then he starts again and goes to Barrow, and then goes back down to Kelsthorpe Road and then sleeps. Like, he literally, like, goes very slowly across the whole island doing all those jobs. Like, it's not, like, he's in no hurry.
And
right?
It's like, why is the dump so overwhelmed? This isn't like New York City, this is the island of Sodor. It's, essentially a rural area almost. So
right, and it's just
trash,
because he's not quick. He's not prompt. If Duck were running the dump, it would be like running like clockwork. But it's just the fact that it's Whiff. And Whiff, the thing is, he has longevity on everybody. So he's been doing this forever. I kind of believe that Whiff has been like a garbage engine from day one. Like, I feel like that's what he was. Too. Yeah, like that's what he was built for. So he's been running dumps forever. Not always on Sodor, but he's always been running dumps. And so he's good at it, and he's good at keeping it running. But he's also not, he's not extremely efficient. And I think part of that is just that he's been doing it so long. He's got to relax a little bit. Like, he knows, it's not the end of the world if they don't get everything. All the trash processed right away, especially because he's been through tough periods. Like, I imagine, like, there's some periods in history where they would just be utterly overwhelmed. Like, maybe during the World Wars, like, they would just be totally swamped with work, and they just, Whiff realized, well, it was literally impossible to get the work done in a timely manner in that period. So in peacetime, like, we can operate at half capacity and we'll still do better than we did then. So, like, why am I going to stress, right? And that's kind of, I think his thinking in general. Whiff is just kind of a don't sweat the small stuff kind of guy. Whereas Scruff is like he's kind of nervous and anxious, and he really
and he's young.
He's young, yeah. He's young compared to Whiff, certainly, And it's like, I could just so see, him having a different opinion. And then Reg is young too. They're both kind of newer technology, and also the scrap industry is so different from like the trash industry. Trash just sits there, but scrap is going to be shipped out. Scrap is going to be sold. So that's a very, very different world. Reg is like, all right, the faster I do this, the sooner we can ship out the smelted iron, that sort of thing. But like with Scruff, it's like, or with Whiff, the trash is just going to sit there. It's going to go in like a landfill. Maybe it'll get recycled, but nobody's in a hurry to claim it. Whereas with Scruff,
I would love to see that originally, like, because people will throw out stuff that clearly should be recycled or clearly should be scrap, and it goes to the landfills. Like, we all know this. But like, imagine if, Whiff in his old ways just sees trash as trash. Right. And he doesn't see that you could separate it. He doesn't see that.
Interesting.
It's just like, whatever. And so Scruff is the one that comes along, and, he has this relationship with Reg, and he knows that Reg loves the good old crunch and munch.
Right. And the crunch, and the thing is, it's not just scrunch, it's crunch and munch. You separate the crunch from the munch. Like, the steel, like even when it's all metal, just scrap iron, you separate out the iron and the steel and the, like, all the different metals from each other. Like, it's an utter, like, processing plant. Whereas, like, Whiff probably just straight up, it just dumps it all in a hole somewhere. Like, that's how he does it. And it's like, he's just getting rid of the mess is all he's doing. But he doesn't have to really, he doesn't process any of it. And then imagine Scruff comes back with all these exciting new ideas of how to process things, and Whiff just looks at him like, why? Like, he's just not clear on it, right? Scruff's like, well, because we can make this stuff useful again, Whiff. I mean, we could take something that people are just going to throw away, and then we could actually make it worth something.
I don't know, Scruff. I mean, when people throw something away, they throw it away for a reason. I mean, it's trash.
But not necessarily. I mean, look at these old tin cans, and then that old crane arm over there. And this stuff could be something. This stuff could be... So, look... Whiff, I was trash, okay?
Well, I know, you love trash.
But I was gonna be trash. I was gonna get scrunched. You hear me?
And munched?
No, just scrunched.
Oh, just scrunched, okay.
Just scrunched, Whiff. It was terrifying, but luckily, I was surrounded by guys who decided that they could make something out of me, that they wouldn't just throw me to the wayside. They didn't just put me in a landfill somewhere. They took all the stuff that was around the dump, and they made something out of it. And if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here now. And I don't know, I mean, if we keep on not recycling, I mean, how many opportunities are we letting go by the wayside? How many engines like me won't get the parts that they need? I mean, how many old machines that just get tossed won't get what they need? I don't know. I'm not a poet, Whiff, but recycling saved my life. I think we should do it here.
Well, I guess it would be Whiff's waste and recycling?
Yeah, exactly. It's got a good ring to it, doesn't it? Yeah.
I don't know, Scruff. I mean, look, I'll let you make it happen, but you gotta keep up with your scrunching, okay?
Yeah, of course. I would never stop scrunching. You know it. I scrunching is my middle name. Literally, it's my middle name on paper.
What's your last name?
The Scruncher.
Oh, Scruff Scrunch the Scruncher?
Yes, that's it. That's my full legal name.
Well, I'm just Whiffy Whiff. And,
well, that's all that you need. It's not as good as mine, but, it's good. Anyway, the recycling thing, we'll do it. I'll make it work. I promise you.
Yeah. Go ahead, get to work.
Yeah. Like, imagine that. Imagine he sets it up. And, and the dump actually becomes a lot more renewable. Like, I imagine somebody like Henry would really appreciate that, because Henry's so environmentally conscious. He's just so, with his love of nature. I feel like...
And then he would see Scruff bringing a tree to the scrapyard to be crunched.
He'd just be like, good God, no!
He'd chase him down.
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine Whiff just dumps, like, huge landfills in his forest, and he's like, what are you doing? Well, the garbage has to go somewhere,
We gotta get out of here, Whiff!
I imagine Scruff would, like, resolve that problem, though. Like, with the recycling, he would actually, like, they wouldn't need to do as many landfills. And Henry would be like, good, I approve of that. That bastard Whiff keeps dumping garbage in my forest and in my shed. Oh my God, there's all this garbage all over your Perth garden. I know, that's what I'm saying. You just accepted that? You're not doing anything about it? No.
Scruff once told me to become one with the trash.
I'm trying my best, but it's just not in the cards, I think.
I'm channeling my inner scruncher.
Percy just comes in like, what's a scruncher? And everyone's like, no, don't ask that question. No, hold on. Like, just shut up.
We don't talk about the scruncher.
But yeah, I could see that. Scruff kind of bringing his newfangled ways in and making the dump more modern and, you know. But maybe Whiff starts to hate it, you know. Like, for the first time in his life, he's not satisfied with the dump anymore, because he liked just dumping a bunch of trash in a hole. And now he, like, has to separate it out, and it's, like, this long and elaborate process.
Well, he has a history of that. Look what he did to the Misty Island Tunnel.
That's true. He literally just crammed garbage down there. I love how he says that. He's like, the fat controller's just like, you know, what about the tunnel, Whiff? And Whiff is just like, we used to put garbage down there. Like,
and you didn't tell me.
Exactly. Like, I'm almost thinking the fat controller's like, what? Wait, you did what? I didn't give you permission for this. Well, it was a private enterprise. I imagine that. Imagine that sometimes, like the block in Henry's tunnel with the elephant, you know, I bet the men were half thinking like, it's Whiff again. He's cramming stuff down there. We're gonna have to dig it out. God, oh, it's an elephant. Oh, never mind. Like, you know, he just crams.
The fact that in Misty Island Rescue, it wasn't trash that stopped the Thomas and the Logging Locos from getting back to Sodor. Like, I was disappointed. I was hoping that they would just run into all these trash cars.
Oh my god. I kind of felt like it was trash. Like, it didn't look like it. I assumed it was just an enormous blockage of trash.
You know what would be funny is if the trash trucks are, like, taken down there, Whiff doesn't think it connects to an island, and the Logging Locos are just stealing the trucks.
Yeah, true. Oh my god. If there were any regular, like, 7 planks on that island, that would justify it.
Yeah.
But I just, like, Whiff just dumps stuff places. And, like, he keeps the island clean, but at a horrible price. Where it's like, you know, certain areas just get cluttered.
He's like sneaking into the docks with a bunch of trash, and Cranky's, like, looking over his... Like, he's just, like, looking around, and Whiff's about to get to the water, and he's like, don't even think about it.
You leave the marine life alone, you hear me? I'm friends with that dolphin down there. Whiff's just like, sorry, Cranky, I don't have anywhere else to put it. Wait a minute.
You can put it in Gordon's shed, for all I care.
All right. We're forming a timeline now, I think.
Yes, we are.
Whiff just, like, goes to Arlesborough, and there's that one beautiful dock at the end of All at Sea, and he's like, that's perfect! And he just crams, he just pushes trucks over it. Duck is, like, in a shed sleeping nearby, and he's like, what in the name of... Oh my god. He's not leaving this branch line without a firm talking to. Block it off. Like,
now,
hold all trains.
Like, push the trucks in there too, or is it like
they're just like, no?
He saw Percy do it once to Bullstroke, and he's like, that's efficient.
Oh my god. No, I imagine, like, the trucks would, like, because a lot, like, most trucks have, like, that door where they, like, open up and can dump them out. The trucks would just open up and vomit them out. They'd just be like, glad to have that out of my system. That was nasty. All right, next. But yeah, you know, but anyway, I think that more or less covers Scruff the Scruncher, unless we got something else. But
oh my gosh, there was a lot of scrunching.
There was. We scrunched and munched profusely.
Crunched.
Like, everybody watching, please tell us if we scrunched too much. Was it too much scrunching? Is it a little much for you, or was it the perfect amount of scrunching? Should we inject more scrunching into every episode?
We just have Scruff to, like, pick up the pieces after every episode.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Scruff is the official character gallery mascot.
Of course, yeah. God, what a terrible mascot. I was thinking about this the other day, if our show has a mascot. Like, it's probably the Snow Machine, if it's anything. Like...
There are so many animated remakes of our one scene of the Snow Machine. I was watching the other day. Some of them came out like 2 weeks ago.
It's crazy that people are still so invested in that. It's nice. I mean, though I do really want to make something that surpasses it at some point. Like I know
I'm desperate.
Yeah, like that's really our goal, is to, like, make, you know, another really funny episode that kind of gives that off. And I think to do that, we're going to need to pick another
character that literally has like nothing to go off of. Like, because those are the most remarkable ones, I think, when we literally take something that like has almost just nothing going for it and just kind of spin it into a yarn where we demonstrate how, I mean, you could do a lot with it if you think about it. And, you know, I think that's almost the mission statement of the show. So, well, you know, it'd be nice to do another one of those sometime soon. But in the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed Scruff. I certainly enjoyed him. I think that we've had a very scrunchy time.
This was a scrunchin' good episode.
It was scrunch. It was
Scrunch, yeah.
Scrunch, yeah. Anyway, so without further ado,
go scrunch yourself, guys.
Yeah, go scrunch yourselves. In the best way possible. I've been Master Lemons, aka Lemmy.
And I'm here with the Japanese Train, aka Matt.
And scrunch you later, everybody.
We'll scrunch you in the next one.
Oh yeah. Take care.
Bye.